What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Carl. I'm the Consumer Review Lad, and this is the Consumer Review Podcast, and this is the review for WWE Extreme Rules 2021. WWE Extreme Rules was at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Approximately 9,400 fans were in attendance. Going into this pay-per-view today, it was a 6-match card. They added a 7th match during the pre-show. They added the New Day versus Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omas. So it was a 7-match card. Even though it was titled Extreme Rules, only one match on the card had Extreme Rules. The other matches were kind of just normal. Of course, the triple threat's a non-disqualification, no DQ match, which wasn't really played up or anything like that. There was, out of the 7 matches on the card, only 5 were for a title, and Liv versus Carmela was just a feud match, and then the New Day versus Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omas, I guess you could say that was a feud match also. But let's go ahead and get into the review of this pay-per-view. Usually WWE, sometimes they have lackluster cards, but usually at the end of pay-per-view, you still had a good time. It was still a good show. Probably way more impressive than you thought it was going to be going in. So with Extreme Rules having a lackluster card, I kind of thought this would have been the same deal. So let's get into the show. Liv Morgan versus Carmela was on the pre-show. This match went approximately 8 minutes. The story of this match isn't the match itself, which it was an okay match. The story of this match was the commentary having a huge issue. Just the commentary audio was completely botched. You were listening to the Spanish and the English, and I think sometimes even other languages all mixed together at one, just combined. It was very distracting, very frustrating. Sometimes it was just Spanish with English, and sometimes you thought it was fixed, and then it would just go back to being jumbled. In fact, it was jumbled even after the start of the pay-per-view, but during the first match on the pay-per-view, on the main card, it fixed itself. And that was the real story of this match. That's what most people were talking about during this match. But beyond that, it was an okay match. Liv Morgan was getting a lot of cheers. She is very over. She could easily, start getting some wins and being in the title scene, and the fans would like that. She's completely over. I know a lot of people were upset she lost Friday night on SmackDown. I thought in the way she lost, it wasn't a big deal, and it gave her a lot of heat going into this match. And seeing how she lost, I figured she was going to win this match, which is what happens, because after approximately 8 minutes, she hit some move off the ropes. I'm not sure what the move is called, but she ended up getting the pin and winning the match, and this was an okay match on the pre-show. And I'm glad she got that one. I'm glad she won the match and she got the win. Hopefully she gets more wins going forward. Maybe she moves to Raw during the draft. Maybe she could be in some title scene somehow. We'll see. She could definitely be in the title picture now, in my opinion. Just get her a few more wins under her belt and just, give her to the title, get her in the title picture, maybe even give her the belt for a time. All right, so let's go into the main show. You got some pyro kicking off the main show. The commentary, like I said, was still messed up going into the first match, but during the match, it fixed itself. You had the New Day versus AJ Styles, Omas, and Bobby Lashley. This match went approximately 18 minutes, and this match was all right. It was an all right match. It ended with Styles kind of like Bobby Lashley was setting up to do his finishing move, but AJ Styles just tagged him just so he could do the finishing move and get the pin instead. So he goes to do his phenomenal forearm. Lashley tags Styles so he can just finish the match. Styles, I think, misses the phenomenal forearm, kind of goes around to attack Big E. But Lashley already tagged himself in the match, so Lashley's going for a spear, and Lashley ends up spearing AJ Styles. And then after that, Big E ends up hitting the big ending on Bobby Lashley and getting the pin to win the match. This kind of built up segments later on in the show where Bobby Lashley's upset. He wants a rematch with Big E for the WWE Championship. He wants it tomorrow night, and Big E pretty much accepted that challenge. So Monday Night Raw, tomorrow night, we are going to get Bobby Lashley versus Big E for the WWE Championship. This is the second or third week in a row we're getting big matches on Monday Night Raw, I think combating Monday Night Football. So that's cool. Monday Night Football is giving us some good matches, and I'm happy for that. Next up, we have the Street Profits versus the Usos. I figured going in, the Usos would win, and that's exactly what happened. This match was really a tale of two halves, in my opinion. This match went approximately 14 minutes. The first half was kind of more of a boring, dull match. Usos were getting heat. You had the hot tags. There wasn't a lot of excitement in the first half. The second half was that was a fun match. A lot of top rope maneuvers and Just a lot of really high spots, I would say. And it ended with the Usos doing a double splash on Montez Ford, and the Usos retain, and this was a decent match. Going forward, I think the Usos are probably going to go against Otis and Chad Gable, since it was kind of hinted on SmackDown. But Street Profits, maybe I don't know. I don't know if they go to Monday Night Raw. We'll see. We have the draft coming up. They might still be on SmackDown for a while. Maybe they even run this back with the Usos. There's no reason to run it back. The Usos kind of won cleanly and fair and square. And I think they're going to end up going against Otis and Chad Gable. The only problem with Otis and Chad Gable is you have heel versus heel, which you don't see too often in the WWE. But maybe Otis and Gable will be the faces of that matchup. Next up, we have Alexa Bliss versus Charlotte Flair. This match went approximately 12 minutes. Charlotte hit a natural selection and then pinned Alexa to win. And then after the match, she completely destroyed Lily, ripped her up. Alexa got so upset with it. She tore up the commentary table. She was screaming. She was crying. There was this white tablet in her mouth, clearly visible to the camera. I think it was supposed to be like some foam coming out, but I don't think it worked properly. So she had kind of like white spit coming out, but she was screaming and crying. And this segment went on kind of long. I would say maybe 4 or 5 minutes total, that you kind of thought maybe someone was going to come out and do something. There's people throwing rumors that Bray Wyatt's going to come out, and I don't see that happening. I mean, it's possible, but considering they released him, I don't know if he's immediately going to come right back for this. But maybe there's another girl they signed, or another wrestler they signed, and this could lead to somewhere. But no, that was it. Charlotte Flair ripped up Lily. And Alexa cried about it, and nothing happened after that. But clearly Alexa Bliss is probably going to do something to her character. Maybe even go deeper into the gimmick, or maybe just leave the gimmick altogether. We'll have to see going forward. But Lily was completely over. Alexa Bliss and this gimmick was completely over. I really thought she was going to win the title belt here. So I'm very surprised that Charlotte Flair retained. And again, what's next for Charlotte Flair? I mean, good thing the draft is coming up, because you could bring in like Liv Morgan, for instance, and maybe she can have a feud with Charlotte Flair, or maybe the other SmackDown woman wrestlers. We'll have to see. I'm really not sure what's next for Charlotte. Alexa Bliss getting the title, you could run a feud with Charlotte a little bit longer. Actually, I guess you could still run this feud with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, since there's heat over her tearing up Lily. This feud might not be over yet, and maybe it will end with Alexa Bliss getting the title belt. We'll just have to see. We're going to have to see how this story plays out. We have Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus versus Damien Priest. This match went approximately 14 minutes. This was a very fun match. Triple threat title matches, they can be definitely fun, and this was a fun match. This ended with Sheamus bro-kicking Jeff Hardy and Damien Priest rolling him up to get the win. Not sure what's next for Damien. I'm pretty sure the draft is going to shake it up for him. I could see him going to SmackDown and Nakamura coming to Raw, switch out the mid-card titles, and I think Damien Priest would be kind of over on SmackDown. So I could definitely see them making that move. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. This match went approximately 17 minutes. It ended with Bianca about to KOD Becky, but then Sasha Banks interfered. She ran into the ring and interfered and beat up Bianca Belair, causing the match to end in a DQ. So Becky retains. Then Sasha beat up Becky Lynch afterwards. So this was a decent match, but it was just a terrible finish. I know a lot of fans online are talking about how I can't believe a match ended in DQ and Extreme Rules. And yeah, every match besides the final match had normal stipulations, and only 2 matches on the card could not have a DQ. The triple threat can't have a DQ, and the main event can't have a DQ. So, of course, ending in a DQ just for a title match is just extremely lame, especially for these 2 big superstar wrestlers that you're excited to see wrestle. So it's kind of lame. I'm sure they're going to stay on the same brand. They have to probably run this back. Although I guess Becky and Bianca could split and maybe push it to like a future WrestleMania or something like that. Otherwise, I could see a triple threat match between the 3, but it looks like Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair are going to have a feud. So I wonder where Becky Lynch goes from here. We'll just have to wait and find out and see where the draft ends up. We could have a triple threat match at Crown Jewel. Who knows? Roman Reigns came out first for his entrance, which as a champion, he came out first as a champion, but Roman Reigns coming out first, I think it's pretty rare. He usually comes out last. Of course, Demon Balor's the big one here, so he had his entrance. This match went approximately 20 minutes, and it was good until the ending. I didn't like the ending. Demon Balor, he kicked out of a spear and he did the low blow spot where when he kicked out, he low blowed Reigns at the same time. Demon Balor hits his finisher and the Usos drag him off Roman on a 2 count. So he almost won the match, but the Usos got involved, so he had to take care of them. He put one of them through the table. And then after he did that, Reigns speared him through the barricade. Then during this match, they went into the crowd. And what was interesting, Roman Reigns actually put on a mask when he went into the crowd. I haven't seen a wrestler on WWE or AEW put on a mask when they go into the crowd. Really, the only time I've seen wrestlers wear a mask, I guess I gotta take that back. I guess Homicide was wearing a mask technically when he came in through the crowd on Friday Night Rampage. But beyond that, I have seen wrestlers wrestle in masks on GCW. But I haven't seen that many wrestlers. I haven't seen a wrestler go into the crowd and put on a mask before going into the crowd. Then when he came back, take it off. At a point, I figured if you're really worried about, COVID and health, you could just take away that spot going into the crowd. But they kept it in. He put on a mask, and the spot was really concerning the little pre-show announcer table. And then I believe it was Reigns going through a table. I think Finn Balor put Reigns through a table. And then they kind of just came back into the ring and just finished the match from there. And then after that, we saw a thing where they both were kind of laying on the ground. And then the lights go red and you get the Demon Balor music playing. And Demon Balor's kind of hulking up is what I call this, where you kind of start hulking up. You start hulking up, getting energy, start beating up Reigns. And now the lights are red. It's that red tint we saw in the Fiend matches. There's fog coming. So I'm sure the people in the stands absolutely love being able to see this. And then Finn Balor throws Roman Reigns in the ring. He goes on the top rope. He's going to hit his finisher. He's standing there. Boom! The top rope completely collapses. Lights go back to normal. Music stops. Fog stops. He's laying there shocked. Everyone's shocked. What happened? How did the top rope collapse? That's crazy. What happened? Reigns hits his spear. Pins Balor, 1, 2, 3, beats him. First time Demon Balor lost on the main roster in the WWE. And like I said, this was a good match until the end. I didn't like the end. I thought the end was, honestly, I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing watching it. I was laughing at the point where it turned red and you hear his music playing and then just the rope collapsing. It was really, people say overbooked a lot, but this was overbooked. I know people have called other WWE finishes overbooked, but this was completely overbooked. I don't necessarily hate that it was overbooked. I'm not like against overbooking finishes, but I didn't like this finish. I just didn't care for it. I felt like it completely ruined the match. And maybe it's because we kind of didn't see a definite ending to the match before. Like Becky and Belair ends in that DQ finish where you don't see who's the better of the two. And then we immediately go to this match where it's kind of like, I guess Reigns technically won, but why did the top rope break? How did that affect him? Did we really see who was better of the two here? Was it going to be Demon Balor? Was it going to be Roman Reigns? Either way, Demon Balor got a loss. You can say this loss protected him. A lot of people are saying just wait, the story's going to play out in the future. It doesn't really matter. What's up next is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. I guess maybe for the Universal title. There's speculation that Finn Balor could be thrown in as a triple threat. I would like that, honestly, especially if you're talking about doing Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at a future WrestleMania. Then doing this as a triple threat now makes sense. And you could protect both wrestlers. So if they do face off at a future WrestleMania, it would be a lot bigger. But if you just play this off here and then try to play it back at WrestleMania in a few months, it's not going to work as well. We'll have to see. Anyways, that was that match. Let's get into the worst match of the nights and the match of the nights. So, worst match of the night was Liv Morgan versus Carmela. This match was not bad. It was just the weakest match of all the other matches. It's only a 7-match card. Each match does have some time, although I think this was the shortest match. And I did like this finish a lot more than other finishes on the card. But overall, when you go through all the different spots and just the different matches before the finishes, this was just the weakest match. So that's why it's the worst match of the night. And then we have the match of the night brought to you by hot salsa that's actually hot. I'm not mentioning a certain brand or anything like that. Just, salsa that says it's hot. And then you eat it with some chip and dips. And it's really hot and your mouth is burning and you have to drink some milk. That's what this match is brought to you by. Match of the night. It was the triple threat match. Overall, just a fun match. This really could have been the main event. It was very close. I just did not care for that finish, and the triple threat match overall was, I think, a more enjoyable match. So I give that triple threat match, Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy versus Damien Priest, the match of the night for WWE Extreme Rules 2021. And overall, as far as the pay-per-view goes, this was probably the worst WWE pay-per-view of the year, and one of the worst pay-per-views in a while. The card going in was lackluster, but usually WWE surprises us. I figured they'd add some stipulations to these matches, maybe add another match. They added another match, added 0 stipulations. So Extreme Rules had only one Extreme Rules match. You could have had a ladder match for that triple threat. You could have had maybe a different, Extreme Rules match for Alexa and Charlotte. You could have had something like that to make it a little bit better. And overall, at the end, it was just a lackluster pay-per-view. Going in, I was talking about what was missing from this pay-per-view. I was talking about how the WWE Champion was missing, how RK Bros, which is probably the most over thing in WWE right now, is missing. AJ Styles is missing, and the Nakamura entrance is missing. Of course, the WWE Champion was on the show. Wasn't a title match, but he was on the show. AJ Styles ended up being on the show. RK Bro was not on the show at all. Again, one of the most over things in WWE, not on the show. And Nakamura and his entrance weren't on the show either, unfortunately. And it just didn't deliver to the point where other shows have delivered with lackluster cards. The fact that we didn't really see a finish to Bianca and Becky is disappointing, in my opinion. It's one of the biggest reasons I think people watch AEWs, so they don't get those disappointing finishes. And I know last week we had that time limit draw between Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, but before that time limit draw, they put on an absolutely barn-burning, amazing match, which Becky and Bella put on a decent match. It wasn't definitely at the caliber of that. And just ending in an interference like that is just disappointing, in my opinion. And then the second match, how that ended, was also kind of disappointing. So you had some disappointing finishes, just disappointing booking. No title changes, which is fine. You don't need a title change every pay-per-view. It's just some superstars that could have been on the card and make it a lot better weren't on the card. So overall, this is probably the worst pay-per-view, maybe of 2021. It might be the worst overall in the year. We'll see. We have Crown Jewel coming up, and Crown Jewel, or the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, they're known for being pretty bad pay-per-views. They have some pretty bad matches, although this one, since it's usually in the past, they're kind of special events, not necessarily like, they're pay-per-views, but they're sometimes like right after or right before pay-per-view. This time, this is the October pay-per-views, Crown Jewel. So I think they probably will build it up to be a better pay-per-view and put on some better matches. I don't see any disappointing matches so far being booked, so we'll have to see. But this Extreme Rules 2021 was a big disappointment, in my opinion. And you know what? I would like to know what your opinion is. If you listen to this podcast, let me know. You can tweet me at consume_review, or you can leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and click like. If you didn't enjoy this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. You might enjoy the next one. Anyways, until next time, my name is Carl. I'm the Consumer Review Lad, and this has been the review for WWE Extreme Rules 2021. Peace out.